Hello everyone, welcome back to the Foreplay channel. I'm Bella.
I'm Jace.
Before we get into today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. It's free to you and it helps us out a ton. And also make sure to leave a comment on any other videos you'd like to see or if you had any questions about this specific video.
So we wanted to film this video because we feel like this is one of the things that we get asked the most is how we got into the lifestyle, what made us get into the lifestyle, and then about our first lifestyle experience. So we thought make a little video for you guys about why we're here and how we got here.
So backstory on our relationship is we actually met in elementary school, and the very first time that we ever interacted in elementary school, we actually had a crush on each other, but we were in different grades. We are the same age, I'm actually only 6 days older than him, but he was in the grade below me. And so we, after seeing each other in elementary school and talking for a little bit, and after that one day that we went on a jump rope field trip together, we actually never talked to each other again until high school. So fast forward to high school, we're both 15 years old, we ride the same school bus, and long story short, we started dating when we were 15 and we never broke up.
Both of our upbringings were very conservative, and we were very, I wouldn't say that sex was shunned, but it definitely was not talked about in our households at all. And so we didn't really have much experience with that. So we were kind of raised with that mindset of, oh, we're not supposed to have sex until we get married. We didn't even lose our virginity to each other until we were 18. So we were just like very slow with all of those things. And then we moved to college. We never drank before we were 21.
So we were very sheltered growing up, and we were each other's first everything. Like we were each other's first kiss. Like Jason never even held hands with another person before. So we grew up just very sheltered. And because we hadn't experienced anybody else, we'd never dated anybody else because we only knew each other, and we knew we wanted to be together forever, and we didn't want to break up, but we didn't know what else was out there.
We never felt like we missed out on anything or we needed anything, but whenever you grow up, you never go to a party, you never go to anything about that, and you learn about all these people that did, it makes you question like, what else is out there? Not that I missed anything, but just what else is out there?
So it's not like anything was missing from our relationship. It was just that we never got to experience what it was like to even kiss another person or to even do anything with anybody else. And we didn't even know if were we even good at what we were doing, you know what I mean? Because we've been together, that's all we knew. And so whenever we were about 21, I had asked Jace if he ever wondered what it was like to kiss another person. And he said yes. And so that's how the entire conversation of everything started, how everything opened. And I told him that I was interested in women, that I wanted to explore that, but I didn't know how. Like I knew that we were gonna be together forever. I didn't want to be with, like I didn't want to break up with him to experiment with women. I didn't want to break up with him to experiment with anybody. And so that's when we started thinking about doing it together. And so I think a lot of people's lifestyle journeys or swinging lifestyle journeys start with a threesome. If the girl is bi, maybe they want to try a male, female threesome together. So that's how ours first opened. So we started talking about that, and then we went to spring break. And spring break, you know, we're thinking that, and this was in South Padre, so we were like, oh, this is gonna be the craziest place. Like maybe here we can kind of be wild, because isn't that what college people do?
We had kind of the pillow talk conversations about what we thought we'd be okay with if somehow spring break led us to people, and we said that we'd be okay with each other kissing other people. That means Bella kissing guys and girls, and then me, you know, kissing other girls. And so like that's kind of an experiment we could do. Maybe we found a girl that was interested in both of us and she wanted to do that. Maybe we could do oral type stuff, but not fully swap, which at that time we had no clue that was even a term. Yeah. So we went to spring break. Bella ended up kissing some women and kissing some men. I didn't kiss anyone on our first spring break, but I danced with people.
That was the first time we even saw boobs or like,
yeah,
people were flashing and everything. Like we never even saw, that was the first time I like flashed somebody. And so we felt very liberated going to spring break, and that's when it opened up even more conversation.
Yeah. We are gonna fast forward to almost a year to a year and a half-ish. After that, we had kept having more and more talks. We had watched porn together and like tried to see even more things that maybe we thought would be fun. At one point, I remember telling Bella, I was like, well, you know what? If I was going to be able to experience a woman, I'd want you to be able to experience a man, because I feel like it wouldn't be fair if this whole thing is us doing it together and us experimenting and see what it's like. I don't want to get something and then you also don't get something. So we talked about at that point of hey, well, maybe a couple would be what's right for us. At this point, like I said, we still don't know what swinging is. We've never heard of the lifestyle. We just thought that maybe one day there'd be a couple that was interested in the same thing that we were. And so that leads us to a little over a year later when we went to Las Vegas together.
Again, being, I feel like, I guess, naive and sheltered, we were like, oh, Vegas, crazy things happen in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And so there were some topless pools that you can go to at Vegas, and we went to one of those. It was the one at Caesar's Palace, and that was the first time I ever went topless, like in public. And it took me, I mean, hours to work up the nerve to even do that. And so when I finally did, there was one other girl, and it was a couple, so it was her and her husband, and she was the only other one that was topless. And so Jace and I, we were just hanging out next to each other. I mean, we were like this like the whole time.
And we were about to leave.
Yeah, we were about to leave. And at this point, we are like freshly 22. It was like the summer, it was like a couple months after we turned 22. Yeah. And we were about to leave. This couple comes over, and then she's kind of like on his back, and she's like, hey, in the pool, and she's like, I just wanted to congratulate you on being the only other person here who's topless. And so then we started a conversation with him, and it was crazy how many things we had in common. I mean, like, even down to what we were going to school for, and they were the same exact age as us. They had been together for, I think, like maybe a year less than us. Yeah. And at that point we had been together for 7 years already. Yeah. And so we just clicked. We clicked right away, and we asked if they wanted to hang out later.
I don't know how exactly it got on that conversation, but we had this free club pass thing in Vegas, and we had a free shuttle to a strip club, which was the biggest strip club in the United States.
We had never been to a strip club together.
So we were like, oh, that's like a sexy thing to do in Vegas. So we told them that. They're like, oh my gosh, we wanted to go to a strip club while we were here. And we're like, okay, well then let's just meet up later tonight, and you guys can ride in our little car, and we'll go there together.
It wasn't a little car, it was like a party bus.
Yeah, I don't know how we got it for free.
It was literally just each other in this big party bus.
So we invited them to that. They were in town visiting some friends. Like, we have to go meet our friends, and then we can meet up with you guys later. And so me and Bella went back to our place, they went back to their place, and then me and you, I remember so clearly, went to Cheesecake Factory. And we went to Cheesecake Factory, and before we went to Vegas, we had said if a couple happened to fall in our lap, we weren't gonna search for it, but if it fell in our lap, we think we'd be open to it. So we had this crazy, deep conversation at Cheesecake Factory about, I think maybe this couple, because we had kind of mentioned like little notes and hints of things like that. Like,
well, we had heard that there were some kind of swingers club, but we didn't know necessarily exactly what it was. Yeah. And whenever we were talking to that couple at the pool, they mentioned something also about a swingers club. So we were talking about swingers clubs, and we were talking about strip clubs, but we weren't planning on going to a swingers club.
Yeah, and so we were talking like, well, maybe this could happen. And we just said, we're not gonna try to force it, but if it happens to happen, like that's what happened tonight or whatever, then let's see where it goes. And so I remember being really sad because a few hours later we got a text and they're like, hey, we can't go to the strip club with you guys. Our friends' things ran over, but maybe we can meet up after you guys get back. And so me and you went to the strip club by ourselves. It was kind of like a sexy environment, especially with all these other thoughts going on in our head. Yeah. I couldn't stop thinking about this couple. You couldn't either. Went to the strip club, we came back home, and then we were so into the idea of everything that was going on that me and you started just going at it.
Yeah.
And then we finished, and then we got a knock on our door maybe 20 minutes later, and it was the couple. And they were like, we just told them that like the thoughts of everything, and we were like, oh, well, we just did stuff together. And they're like, well, you didn't wait for us? And then we ended up that night, like an hour later, we ended up doing parallel play. And so me and Bella were together, and her husband were together.
And me and her did a little bit of stuff together too. So we were making out, but we didn't do much more than that. We were touching and feeling, and that was the first time I had ever done anything like that with a woman, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
And so...
And then I kissed her that night, and that was the first time I kissed another woman.
And I kissed him, and so yeah, we had same room, so parallel play. And we were having sex next to each other, and then they actually ended up staying the night. And before we were doing all of that, and we were just talking and hanging out and chilling, we decided to stay another night in Vegas with them to see how, what was gonna happen the next day.
We all decided this together. Yeah. And we're all broke college kids, so we had no money. It was also EDC weekend.
Which we didn't even know what EDC was. We literally went there and we were like, why? What is happening? Why is everybody dressed like this? Why is everybody kind of crazy? What is going on?
We were like, we'll each do $50 for a hotel. That's all the money we have that we feel like we can spend because we had no money. We're in college, like it's hard. And so we booked a room at Treasure Island, which I don't know how we got a room that cheap. But in the haste of making it and maybe drinking some adult beverages, Bella somehow used her name and my card. And so we got to Treasure Island the next day and they canceled our room because the card didn't match, they didn't run it. And so at that point, I remember both of the girls are crying because we just wanted to hang out so bad.
It wasn't from that though. We started crying because we were trying to find another hotel to stay at because we all wanted to hang out with each other. And we had all of our luggage and it was like such a long day. We were lugging everything around and that's whenever we started like crying because we were just overwhelmed.
So we ended up finding the only other room in Vegas for $100 that night was at the Riviera, which is destroyed now because it was one of the first. It was one of the first hotels ever built, like
on the strip.
On the strip, and it's barely even on the strip. It's like it's like one of the first Vegas hotels, and we got there. And we're like, at least we have a room. But I mean, it looks very like motelish. There's nothing like spicy about it. I remember looking out the window and having a view of the pool, and then the pool was full of trash. Like actually,
no, it was no water.
Yeah, with trash in it.
Yeah, it
like,
was only trash.
Like they were like just junk, like old like chairs and stuff that were just thrown in there, like an empty pool. And we were like, okay, this is not like what we thought, but we just
closed the we're like, you know, this isn't what it looks like.
But we just kept talking to this couple. We had some drinks and we just got to know them better. And we ended up having our first experience that night. We full swapped, so we can't really get into the details of that on here. But if you guys want to hear all of the details about all of it, go to our podcast. Our very first episode is that whole entire story. But the next morning, I remember we woke up and we left because we had like a 20-hour drive back to Oklahoma from Vegas. And we just spent the whole 20 hours talking about this experience. We're like, oh my God, like, is it just me or is it just you? But like, I feel closer to you. I feel like more connected. Like, I feel like I want you more. Like, it was this amazing experience. And we were just like, there has to be more of this out there. And that's when we got home and started researching swingers and finding out what this really was and what this lifestyle was about. And it was an amazing first experience, and I could not be more thankful that we were able to have such a cool experience. And that's another reason why we do this podcast, because we want to make it more well-known for people that are newer and don't know how to go about it, that hopefully you can find the experience that we had for our first time, because our first experience is what made us stay in this and love it so much. Because if we had a bad first experience, I don't know where we'd be today. And we're here now because of that. And
it was just so crazy that after doing something so intimate with another person, how much more close we were and how much conversation it opened and how we were able to just, I don't know, I still don't even know how to explain it to this day, how being intimate with another person makes your connection with your partner stronger. But the fact that we were able to just experience it together and not even ever being with anybody's, the couple was the same way. And so the reason why that they wanted to swap, or they were interested in swapping with another couple, had they found one, was because they were also only each other's first everything too. And so the fact that we all four got to experience that together, and then like nothing else changed except for the relationship with your own partner becoming stronger, was incredible. And that is why we're still in this. If swinging and if the lifestyle wasn't beneficial to our relationship like it is, we wouldn't continue doing this.
But we've just learned that over the years that the lifestyle has made our connection so much stronger. It's made our trust, our communication, it's made so many facets of our relationship so much better and so much stronger. And that's why we're so big into talking about this, because we can realize that we had an amazingly strong relationship. And if it can become this much stronger from something like this, we feel like there's so many people that it could benefit from if they just knew more about it.
If they wanted to do it. If they were open to wanting to do this. Because it's not for everybody. Like, ethical non-monogamy isn't for mostly everybody. Like, you have to have a very certain specific mindset to be able to make this successful.
But if you have that mindset, we think it's one of the most amazing things that you can incorporate into your relationship. And so we're just so thankful that we got to have such a cool first experience. And so I hope you guys like this story of kind of why we got into it, how we got into it, all of that, because people have asked us for so long, like let's just make the video.
If you wanted to hear like the real nitty gritty details of everything that happened, I mean, we walked through the entire experience, like how we felt, when we swapped, how we swapped, all of that stuff. You can listen to our podcast. We will link it below. It's the very first episode of our podcast, and it just goes into even more detail of what we did here, but we can't talk about it on this platform, so.
But thank you guys so much for watching. We really, really appreciate it. Make sure you leave this video a like. It really helps us out. Subscribe so you never miss when we post a video. And if you guys have any questions about this video or about our first experience, if we can answer them, we'll answer them down below. So comment those things down below, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Bye.